Hello and welcome back to the single malt review on our descent further down the gin hole. Thank you for joining us in the gin hole.
The gin mines and dug out some fresh ore.
We have, and so we've sort of only just finished looking at the types of gin, the weird and wacky sort of varieties you get out there, and we've still got one more to go, but it's too different, so I'm saving it to last, or at least to contaminate our palates. So now we're into fully modern gin, and more than that, we are into the sort of rocky, unsure precipice of premium gin, which is all the rage these days. Did not used to be. Gin used to be your, the drunken uncle's liquor, and you get it, by the litre, and away you go. No longer. Gin is, just as vodka went through its classing up phase, gin has done the same thing, and it is raging. Yes. So this one is Caorunn, with a wee pronunciation to help you along there, being a Gaelic name, which I don't know what means. I'm not absolutely sure Caorunn is exactly how you pronounce that, but never mind. It's probably close enough. And this one is probably near and dear for us because it is made in Balmenach. I don't think we've actually tried a Balmenach. It's not a malt that sees the light of day particularly often, but I have seen it in the very, very occasional independent bottle. Yeah. But so we'll taste it very tangentially with this.
We've touched on Scottish gins once or twice in this mini-series, and there's a few gratuitous Scottish gin photos over on our Instagram, because we have one of those. But this is our first time actually going into one in depth on camera. So Caorunn, this is a pure grain gin. There's still no malt, it's all grain spirit, and it has... They boast 6 traditional gin botanicals, but also 5 Celtic botanicals.
Celtic botanicals.
Yes. So I guess some local flavour, kind of like, Brookladdy's The Botanist, which uses something like 22 gins, which
something like that, yeah.
Botanicals foraged off the rocky peaks and crags of Islay itself.
The Botanist I thought about featuring, but The Botanist is sort of, that has been sort of the example of, this is Scottish distilled at a distillery, known distillery gin example for years now, so I thought I'd give play to another one, just for a bit of variety. The Botanist is interesting in itself because it's distilled at Brookladdy, and it's a single malt vodka, if that makes any sense. It's all malt in the spirit, so that actually has quite a big, heavy, characterful weight to the spirit itself. This one being grain, I think, should be a bit more typical.
41.8%
yes, that's what I was about to look
which is,
up.
I think, a number we've seen a few times. Is that right?
Well, 41 point something. The Hayman's was 41.4, so 41
roughly.
Point something. Popular strength in distilling. I suspect just because it looks a bit more boutique than a flat out 40 on the bottle, but who knows? There might be some other reason. So that on its own, it's a bit more. This is a lot less prickly on the nose. This is very smooth compared to Village.
It reminds me a little of that. If you've been out on a snowy morning when there is ice all over the ground, snow everywhere, but the air itself is dry and completely still, and there is no wind. It's just a bone dry chill. You take a breath in.
It certainly
reminds me of that.
It's a clean aroma.
Yeah.
It's very, very crisp and clean. I'm really surprised it doesn't have a more heightened sort of aroma here. It's very, very subtle.
I guess for a relatively limited number of botanicals, was it maybe 11 in total?
Yeah, and it's a very smooth spirit. This is, I think, being quite carefully and rigorously distilled. If I were to make a call.
In fact, on the label they talk about their unique copper berry chamber. So I guess that's maybe some kind of
the berry
unique
chamber. I guess that's the chamber where you shove your juniper berries. I can only visualising it. I think So whether that's sort of above in the vapour area or below in the liquid itself, I don't know.
As we know, because Scotch stills are always pure copper. Maybe that's not always the case for gin. So that's why this is a unique point that's worth mentioning. Who knows?
All right. Well, I'm going in.
Oh, I like
That's really smooth. That's actually mega tasty. That was a good pick.
That has a lot going on.
That one. That is quite unlike everything we've tasted to this point. The ones we've been trying have been really, and I think it's benefited them. They've been really punchy, really pretty savage, pretty jagged. This one is really smooth.
The balance of those herbal flavours and also the alcohol. It's just a nice mix.
It's silky smooth. That one is your... Were we making martinis here, which we're not, because we only have so much ice, it would just take forever, rattling around in a glass for far too long, so we decided not to do it. this would be the one. We're into martini grade gins here. I think it probably maybe wants a wee bit of ice, but honestly, as long as it wasn't a massively warm day, you could just have that. That's pretty.
I'm going to splash some tonic in.
Yeah, see how it performs. That's. I'm not going to say that's staggeringly good, but that's surprisingly excellent. And even better with a wee bit of ice.
It is a smooth and fluffy thanks to the carbonation of the
Well,
tonic.
I feel real silly lampooning boutique gin now. Maybe there is something to boutique gin. Maybe it's not. I mean, it is diminishing returns to a point, but this is a step up.
I guess that's the thing. When you approach some sort of new niche field as an outsider, it seems vague and impenetrable at first glance. Like, say, if you're getting into art and you discover cubism, you look at it from the outside and think, this is a mess. I can't make sense of this. How is this art? It's all the same. Likewise with gin, it's gone on a massive resurgence. It is now hugely varied. There's so many degrees of flavour and of quality that to an outsider it looks like it's all gin. Where do I even start? When you actually dive in though and start to appreciate the nuance and the degrees of difference, then well,
it's not so much the flavours on this one. I like the flavours, but it's the texture of it. It's the quality of the spirit is, I think, a huge step up on this. Just how expertly it's been distilled. This has been distilled with a love and care that I think we have not seen thus far. So there's one more coming up, which might be even classier. So we'll see which one wins out. But this is, if I was to rush out and buy one of these, I think I've just made my call. This would make a hell of a martini. So, all right. Well. Not that we're scoring these, but that's a pretty easy recommendo there. Caorunn from the people over at Balmenach. That's pretty tremendous. It's tremendous. So tremendous, I don't think we need to say anything more about it. We'll move swiftly along to our last couple. And then, then the weird one. The weird one. What could it be? What could it be? I really don't know, because I've never tasted one before, so it'll be an experience for everyone. All right then. Well, that's us. You what, mate? We'll be right back.